Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really sinking our claws into the legend of Wolverine. Such a fascinating character.
Absolutely. Complex is definitely the word. And we've got quite a stack of material here, Reddit threads on Old Man Logan, Comic Vine, on those interesting X-Men relationships.
Yeah, especially Wolverine and Jean Grey, always a hot topic. Plus, Wikipedia, CBR's list of essential stories, quality comics guide. It's a lot.
It is. So our mission really is to boil all this down for you, give you the essentials on Wolverine, where he came from, his powers, what makes him tick, and, why he's just such a huge figure in Marvel.
We've done the sifting, so we get the good stuff. Okay, so beginnings. Wolverine didn't just, appear fully formed with the Adamantium claws, right?
No, not at all. He was actually created by writer Len Wein. It was Marvel's editor-in-chief at the time, Roy Thomas, who axed for him.
And Thomas wanted, what was it, a fierce Canadian character.
Exactly. Fierce Canadian. And this is kind of surprising, originally envisioned as being pretty short.
Short. You don't always picture him that way, especially with the movies.
Right. The idea was this sort of coiled intensity in a smaller package. His very first appearance was tiny, just a teaser, really. Incredible Hulk number 180, October 74.
Just a glimpse.
Yeah. The full debut was the next month, Incredible Hulk 181. And interestingly, he wasn't an X-Man yet. He was introduced as an agent of the Canadian government, Department H.
And the look. The costume is so iconic. John Romita Sr. designed that first one. And get this, he apparently thought retractable claws were just more practical.
Huh. Yeah, how does a guy scratch his nose with permanent foot-long blades coming out of his hands? Makes sense.
It does. And Herb Trimpe was the artist who actually drew those first Hulk issues, bringing Romita's design to life.
It's cool how different people added layers, Wayne with the concept, Romita with the look.
And then Dave Cockrum came in when he joined the new X-Men team. Giant Size X-Men number 1, 1975.
Right, and Cockrum tweaked the mask. Felt the first one looked a bit too much like Batman's cowl, apparently.
Oh, interesting detail. And Cockrum was also the first one to draw him unmasked, wasn't he? Giving us that classic wild hairstyle.
That's the one. So yeah, you see him evolving from this initial concept into the visually distinct character we know. It wasn't just one person's idea.
Okay, so let's get into the mask. The man himself, Logan. His origin is, well, it's a lot.
It really is. Super complicated and frankly pretty tragic. His real name isn't even Logan, it's James Howlett. Born way back in the late 19th century in Canada.
To a wealthy family, the Howletts, or so it seemed.
Right, that's the official story. But the truth is messier. His biological father was actually the groundskeeper, Thomas Logan.
Whoa, okay. Talk about family drama. And his powers, the bone claws, they first came out during something awful, right?
Extremely awful.
Yeah.
He saw Thomas Logan kill the man he thought was his father, John Howlett. The trauma triggered his mutation, the bone claws burst out, and, well, young James killed Thomas Logan in a rage.
Jeez. No wonder he ran.
Yeah, he fled with a companion, Rose, ended up in a mining colony, and that's when he started going by Logan, trying to leave James Howlett behind.
But the tragedy just kept following him. Didn't he accidentally kill Rose?
He did, with his claws. Devastating. That sent him into a really dark place, living wild in the woods like an animal with wolves. Then, somehow, he ended up in a circus for a bit.
Just one thing after another. And then there was Silver Fox.
He found some connection, maybe some peace, living with the Blackfoot people, fell in love with Silver Fox. But then, Sabretooth Victor Creed killed her.
Setting up that lifelong rivalry, that's another huge part of his story.
Absolutely formative. Constant loss, constant violence, it really shapes him.
And this guy has lived through history. World War I, World War II, fighting alongside Captain America. That's kind of mind-blowing.
It is. Imagine him on D-Day. The sources definitely emphasize his long life and how all that conflict just weighs on him, It shapes his whole outlook.
Does it explain some of the gruffness, maybe?
Yeah.
The loner thing?
You'd have to think so. Decades, centuries of fighting and loss. Then after the wars, he gets pulled into Team X. More shady government stuff.
And memory implants.
Yeah.
Messing with his head.
Yeah. False memories, manipulation. It's all groundwork for the big one. The Weapon X program. That's where they forcibly bond the adamantium to his skeleton.
Right. The procedure that made him truly Wolverine, visually at least. The metal claws. Brutal stuff, according to the Weapon X storyline.
Absolutely horrific. Luckily, James and Heather Hudson, Guardian and Vindicator from Alpha Flight, found him, helped him escape. He ended up back with Department H for a while after that.
Man, his life story is just relentless.
It really is. And all that trauma, all those experiments, they left him with some pretty incredible powers. The healing factor is obviously the most famous one.
Yeah, he just bounces back from anything, almost anything.
Pretty much. Accelerated healing, fights off diseases, toxins. Though the comics do show that, like, massive doses can still knock him out temporarily. It's not absolute invulnerability.
That came up in the Old Man Logan discussion, didn't it?
Yeah.
People liked that his healing wasn't working so well in that future. Made him seem more vulnerable.
Exactly, raised the stakes. And Wikipedia mentions how the level of his healing has kind of fluctuated over the years in the comics. Sometimes it's near instant, even from catastrophic injuries.
Is there an in-universe reason for why it got so strong?
Sometimes they suggest it's adapted, you know? Because he's been through so much trauma over his long life, the healing factor just kept getting dialed up to cope, like an evolutionary response to constant injury.
Wow. Yeah.
Professor X's files, the Xavier protocols, apparently call it incredible and theorize that maybe only decapitation could actually stop him for good.
Grim. Let's maybe move to the claws. Less finality there. So bone claws first, then Weapon X coats them in adamantium.
Yep. And they are biological, part of his mutation. 3 on each hand. A retractable, thankfully for him, as Ramita Sr. pointed out. And now, yeah, coated in basically indestructible metal.
Along with his whole skeleton. Ouch.
Yeah, the bonding process was agony. But beyond the healing and the claws, he's got those heightened senses too.
Right, like an animal. Sight, hearing.
Super sharp, can see in near darkness, hear heartbeats from far away. And his sense of smell is off the charts.
Good for tracking people down.
Tracking, identifying shapeshifters, some writers even have him smelling lies or fear through subtle pheromonal changes. It's pretty intense.
Like a walking lie detector. And he's not just brute force, is he? He knows how to fight.
Oh, absolutely. Master martial artist, years of training, especially in Japan. He's a skilled strategist, knows anatomy, pressure points. He's way more than just the berserker rage.
Which brings us to his personality. That gruff loner thing is classic Wolverine. Yeah. Prone to those berserker rages.
Definitely. But there's more underneath. He's actually very intelligent, knowledgeable, speaks multiple languages. He's a polyglot.
So it's that constant battle inside him. The man versus the beast.
That's a core theme, yeah. The struggle between his humanity and his more primal instincts. And even with all of the violence, he does have this code of honor.
He regrets killing, right? Tries to avoid it.
He does. It's often presented as a last resort for him, even if his last resort methods can be pretty final.
Let's talk relationships. They're pretty key to understanding him, too. The whole thing with Cyclops and Jean Grey.
Yeah.
That's been going on forever.
Oh, yeah. Classic X-Men soap opera. The Comic Find source definitely highlights how intense and maybe messy those relationships could get. Wolverine's feelings for Jean are deep and super complicated.
Love triangle with very sharp points on all sides. But he also has this softer side, doesn't he? Like with Kitty Pryde or Jubilee.
He becomes this unlikely mentor figure, gruff, protective, almost a father figure.
Maybe because he's lost so much himself, he connects with their vulnerability.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of fathers, he has his own kids too. Laura Kinney, X-23, his son Dakin, others in different realities. Those relationships add another whole layer of complexity, forcing him to confront his own legacy.
Okay, so key stories. If someone wants to really get Wolverine, what should they read? That 1982 solo series by Claremont and Miller keeps coming up.
Absolutely pivotal. That's the one that really cemented his solo popularity, leaned into that Clint Eastwood, man with no name, dirty, hairy anti-hero vibe. It was pretty revolutionary for the time.
Breaking the mold of the clean-cut superhero.
Exactly. Then you've got Weapon X in Marvel Comics Presents.
Yeah.
Finally showing the full horror of the adamantium process.
And Old Man Logan. We mentioned the Reddit chat. Seems like that one really struck a chord. That dark future version.
Hugely popular. The original Miller-McNiven run is iconic, but yeah, some fans argue the later Jeff Lemire follow-up digs even deeper emotionally. It explores that broken hero theme really well.
Why do you think that resonates so much? Seeing the seemingly unstoppable hero finally beaten down.
Maybe it makes him more relatable, or it's just a compelling what if. Other big ones. Origin. Finally revealing James Howlett and his childhood.
Right, filling in those gaps.
Enemy of the State, where he gets brainwashed by the Hand, seeing him used as a pure weapon. And then Death of Wolverine, where they actually disable his healing factor and explored his mortality.
Which, of course, didn't stick permanently. Comics, right?
Yeah. Especially now in the Krakoan era, resurrections are pretty standard for mutants. He's back, obviously.
And you can't ignore the movies. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine for so many people.
totally defined the character for a generation. He was in basically all the X-Men films, solo movies, and now he's coming back again for Deadpool and Wolverine, plus Henry Cavill playing another version. His reach is huge.
It really speaks to his cultural impact. He was kind of groundbreaking as that darker, more damaged hero, wasn't he?
Definitely. The anti-hero thing, psychologically scarred, uses deadly force, the brooding loner. That was different, and it worked.
Fans loved it. He exploded out of the X-Men books, got his own series back in '88, and it's been running pretty much ever since.
And the recognition. Wizard magazine calling him the #1 greatest comic book character of all time. That's pretty major.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this up then, what's the takeaway on Wolverine?
I think it's his complexity, the tragic origin, the incredible powers that came at a cost, that constant internal war between man and beast, and just his massive footprint on the Marvel Universe. He's never simple.
From the mystery man in Hulk to a global icon, through deaths and resurrections, he keeps evolving, keeps surprising us.
He really does. He defies easy labels.
So here's something for you to think about. Wolverine's always fighting his darker side, but he can be incredibly heroic too. What does it say about us, about audiences, that we're so drawn to characters like him, characters living in those gray areas?
Yeah, what is it about this sort of failed samurai, this character who often uses intense violence, that connects so deeply?
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.